Hello, MCU fans. Today will be my final attempt at putting all of the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer scenes in chronological order. I thought it was a great way to get prepared for the upcoming movie, which will be out in just a few weeks. I cannot wait. So do not worry, there are no spoilers, leaks, or rumors in here. This is only official trailer scenes or things that Marvel released in magazines like Entertainment Weekly, etc. So let's dive right in and see what we can find out. Don't forget, we have a July contest running all month long. Be a subscriber, leave a comment, win a book or a steelbook. Best of luck. And we have a membership option with lots of cool perks, so you might check that out to see if you are interested. Okay, so the best way to put these trailer scenes in order is to look at Wolverine's slowly destroyed costume over the course of the movie. So on the left, you can see it's pristine. It looks great. Then in the middle, you can see these two injuries here, which I do believe are from the katana swords. Notice the two places they're sticking out. Then we move on to the right, where it looks even worse. And in particular, notice this injury here, which I believe comes from the knife in the leg. So this helps immediately put things in a general order. And in fact, notice you can even see the katana injury here. So we know this is happening after the battle with the katanas. So then finally, the last thing that seems to happen to him is somehow he loses his sleeves. That'll be really interesting to see what causes that, because they give us no indication in the trailers for that. But this gives you an idea of how you're able to place these in order. So let's see what we end up with. Okay, so we start with him obviously having given up being Deadpool. We learn that he's a used car salesman, which you can see, of course, from his badge there. This is a more recent photo. It shows Peter, I believe, at the car place, because that looks like the same locker room that Deadpool's in, and that's the advertisement for the cars. I love this scene of them together. That's really cool. I noticed the Hawaiian shirt that Wade has on. He'll be wearing that until he gets his costume back. Then we see that he's celebrating a birthday with all his friends, and we see all of them there. Buck from the bar. We have Shatterstar, Colossus, Dopinder, Negasonic Teenage Warhead, and Yukio, Blind Al, and Vanessa. And, of course, Peter. Gotta have Peter. So he's very happy that they're all there and he's able to celebrate with them. We see him having a good discussion with Blind Al about what Feige won't allow, which I think is a big hint to the fact that he really, really wants to join the MCU. So he doesn't want them talking about, you know, the C word, because that's off limits. They have a list. They know all the terms. So funny. But that's really important because he's being very careful. He does not want to ruin his shot at getting into the MCU. We also see that he has broken up with Vanessa. It's been a challenging few years. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happened there between those two. All right, so then it's time for him to make a wish. He still says, "I'm the luckiest man alive." Vanessa says, "Make a wish." And sure enough, there's his cake with the picture. That picture will show up later of all his friends. And he blows out the candle and immediately gets a knock at the door. So my guess is his wish is to join the MCU. And it's TVA agents. And boy, they do not look pleased to see him. They pull out the boomsticks. That's going to be a problem. And of course, he makes a funny pegging joke. There's going to be so many jokes on Disney and entering the MCU. Can't wait for all that. Then he gets grabbed and pulled through a portal, and they rip off his terrible wig before he goes. They throw that on the ground, and now you see him waking up in the TVA. And look at those nasty staple marks in his head. Ugh, from that wig. He must have just literally staple gunned it on. Ugh. So now we see Paradox, who is a character in the comics, only appeared once, I believe, but he is a character. And he says, "You appear to have soiled yourself while you're unconscious." And I love it. He says, "I wasn't unconscious." Who are you? And why am I here? And so Paradox explains, "Walk with me, and I'm going to show you the TVA." Now, I do believe this is a different TVA. That poster there, I think, is not the modern TVA. The outfits they were wearing that you saw don't look to me like the TVA from Loki. It's just my theory, but I do think there are separate universes, whether it be paint and animated. I think X-Men is a separate universe from the MCU. I think Loki's TVA is just monitoring Loki's tree. But that's just my guess. We'll see whether it pans out that way, whether it's the same TVA or a different TVA. But either way, Wade is then shown basically the MCU. I think the Paradox knows he wants to go to the MCU. So he's saying this is your chance to be a hero among heroes, and literally just shows him the MCU. Now, how is he able to do this? My guess is that Loki's tree is now very visible to the entire universe, and multiverse, I should say. It's like a North Star shining in the sky, and they're able to show him what's happening inside that tree. So that's how they're inviting him to go there. And I really love all these inside jokes here. One of the monitors is literally showing a prank that Ryan Reynolds played as Deadpool, accepting an Emmy. Very funny. Going to be lots of great inside jokes throughout the movie. Here we see Deadpool saluting Captain America because he really wants to join the MCU. And that goes back with a commercial that Deadpool had done with Korg a while ago, where he literally said, any tips on getting into the MCU there, Korg? So yeah, he really wants to join the MCU. And I think this is interesting. These monitors here, I'm going to blow one of these up a bit. I think this is the X-Men timeline. I really do think this is the TVA monitoring the X-Men timeline, because notice how just messed up it is. And I think they're hiring Wade on a mission saying, hey, you can go to the MCU, but first you got to clean up this nasty timeline, because it is nasty. In fact, here's an X-Men timeline. You can check out my video where I go over it in detail. But yeah, it is a very, very confusing timeline, to be sure. And in fact, I think Deadpool is aware of that, right? He's done time travel himself, killed the crappy Deadpool, brought back his friends, killed Ryan Reynolds before he could be in Green Lantern, and he's continually commented about things like, I need to clean up the timelines, when he killed the crappy Deadpool there in front of Wolverine, and he noted the fact that you got McAvoy and Stewart playing the same character. It's just so confusing. So the fact that he is aware of all of this is why the TVA is bringing him in, and that's why he's saying, I'm the Messiah, and getting that funny look from Paradox. And he says, I am Marvel Jesus. And I think the key there is, he says Marvel Jesus, not necessarily MCU Jesus. He's just going to solve all the problems for Marvel in general, including the terrible X-Men timelines. So he gets a new suit. I do think it's worth noting this poster, again, just doesn't seem like the TVA from Loki, because they're worried about the sacred timeline unraveling. It just doesn't seem like that would be them. But again, just my opinions on that. So he gets his adamantium katanas. That's very important because he's going to need those versus Wolverine. Then he gets suited up. I love this montage of him getting suited up here with the belt. Gets smacked in the butt. Yikes. Loads up his gun, and he is ready to go. And then he does a little limber up exercise. That's really funny. And then now, I think he said, I want to take a friend with me to solve this mission for the TVA, and that's where he's off now looking for the best Wolverine. So we're going to see so many cameos. I cannot wait. But in this case, this one is Patch from the comics, and I bet it's not even Hugh Jackman playing Patch there. That does not look like Hugh Jackman's very jacked up frame, right? That does not look muscular. That's going to be all kinds of awesome cameos. Can't wait. But finally, eventually, he will run into the main Wolverine of the movie. And notice this Wolverine is sitting at a bar, drinking his life away. I do think this is an homage to the Wolverine game coming out, because that looks so similar to the bar in that, with him having a drink. Bartender wants him to go. He just wants one more drink, and then I'll leave. Then up comes Deadpool. Hey, I need you to come with me right now. And then this is actually a new scene from the latest trailer where Logan boops him. Yes, he literally boops Deadpool. I love it. Then Deadpool tries to pick him up. He's like, I'm on the TikTok. We got to get out of here. When he picks him up, I think we can see there his pants. I'm pretty sure that's the Wolverine costume, which is how he gets his costume, because I think he wears it like 24/7 because he's so depressed. But anyway, notice he's trying to get his claws out, and they're stuck. Deadpool makes a joke about him being over 40 and, having trouble getting the claws out. Then says basically, you need to come with me. I suggest you reconsider. Smile, wait for the flash on the gun is really funny. But this Wolverine does not care, leans into the gun. So I'm not sure exactly how Deadpool gets him back to the TVA, but he does, because we see him here in the TVA. And notice, this is important, his costume is totally clean. Not a scratch on it, no battle scars, and no dirt. So this is very early in the movie. Notice Deadpool has a temp pad, at least a version of a temp pad for this TVA. Paradox is telling him this Wolverine let his world down. I'm guessing they must have stunned him with one of those time twisters or something, because he's knocked out. I'm betting they also prune him at this point, because they're like, he's worthless. That ticks Deadpool off. Deadpool grabs his temp pad, and he jumps out into the timeline. But not before first getting a look at this guy here. I love his little I Like Me mug. Supposedly, Sean Levy absolutely adores Plane, Trains, and Automobiles, and in particular John Candy, who played Dell in that movie and famously said, I like me. So I think that's the I Like Me mug. But yeah, so I think Deadpool uses that temp pad to end up in this scene, which I do believe is the scene from Logan. Because that overturned vehicle looks so much like the overturned vehicle at the end of Logan. I mean, I realize it's snowing here, so this is not the same time frame as the end of Logan, but I do believe it's the same setting, because we also see the forest. That looks just like the forest in Logan, and I'm betting the tree that he's hiding behind is literally the tree that Logan is killed on in the movie. Sorry, spoiler if you haven't seen Logan. It's been out for a while. Please don't be mad at me. But anyway, and Deadpool 2 makes fun of it. But anyway, I do think this is the same tree. And notice the branch coming out of him. I think that branch is going to be important. So hold on to that thought. But notice in one of the commercials, both Hugh and Ryan said, when Logan died in Logan, we're not touching that. So I think that's why he's going to be really defensive at the TVA, attacking him here. And that's why he says, wait, lifts up his hand, calls timeout, which he'll do again later, which is really funny. There's the TVA. Boy, they look so much more militaristic than the TVA in Loki. Anyway, I just think they're different, but we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, he just starts to tear through them. This is pretty crazy. Now, notice he's stabbing this dude right there. I think that's one of the tree branches. Could be wrong, but it just looks like it. See, there's another shot of it there. I think it's the tree branch, maybe even that impaled Logan, which would be wild. So he's literally killing them with the thing that killed Logan. That's cool. Anyway, continues to tear through them, bangs this dude's head in the tree, and then this is actually a new shot from the latest trailer where he kisses the dude, and I think he's doing a selfie and sending that back to the TVA. And it looks like, notice, another TVA agent's coming in. They continue to send TVA agents after him. And this shot, which was in maybe Entertainment Weekly, I can't remember, but look at all the bodies around. I mean, he has just torn through the TVA. That is crazy. Well, eventually, I do think he gets pruned. And I think this is the first shot of him after entering the void. In fact, that might even be snow on him from that snowy scene. Of course, we talked about this in previous trailers, but that comic is the Secret Wars comic. You can see it's Secret Wars number 5. I think that's an indication the void might well be where Secret Wars occurs. And, of course, the bottle that you can see upside down there is the bottle that killed Stan Lee in the Incredible Hulk movie. R.I.P. Stan. Miss you, buddy. So then, I think Wolverine was previously pruned and has been waiting for him. So when he approaches him, he's pretty ticked. He's like, I was sitting in a bar relaxing, and now I'm stuck in the void because of you. So he's not happy. So then you can see a shadow over Deadpool there. Deadpool's like, oh, don't just stand there, help me up. Of course, then, boom, out come the claws, and he's like, nope, I'm okay. I don't need your help. So he reaches down and picks him up. Then I do think we have a tense standoff. I think they are very upset with each other, maybe not yet fighting, but you can see them each staring each other down there. Notice the 21st Century Fox was pruned. That, besides being a really funny joke, that is very important to establishing that the villains who are about to arrive after they have a fight are in the same location. You'll see what I mean. Hold on to that thought. Also on the right, I think that is Canada's CN Tower, so that's kind of cool. All right. I can't tell when this happens, or maybe this might even be a promo shot that doesn't occur, but it seems like it'd be around this point, because notice Logan has no injuries to his outfit, and Deadpool still has the snowy look all over him, the dust and the dirt and the snow. But anyway, all right, so Wolverine does not want to help him. Deadpool says, I'm about to lose everything I've ever cared for, and Wolverine says, not my problem. So my guess is, I didn't say this before, but my guess is not only is the TVA telling him you can get to go to the MCU, but first you have to help clean things up in your timeline, and I think they've told him, if you don't, everything's going to be destroyed. So he really thinks that the timelines are falling apart, and he has a big-time mission. And, of course, Logan does not care, right? So he says, is that what you said when your world went to crap? Because basically he learned from the TVA that he messed up his world. So then, oh, man, don't make him mad. Come again, he says. That ticks him off enough. Let's go. And, yeah, he squares off. And then this is interesting. Notice to the left of him, at his shoulder, or to the left of the scene, rather, you can see, I think, the same exact ship from Loki. In fact, we're going to see a couple things that we saw in the Loki series showing up in the void, meaning they might be in the same general location that we saw in the Loki series. We'll have to see. But hold that thought. So out come the claws. Love it. And then he uses those claws to hit Deadpool right where it counts. We'll just leave it at that. And then look at this. This is a new shot from the latest trailer. Yeah, those are the claws coming through Deadpool. Ouch. I don't know if he's going to get torn to shreds here. The interesting thing, though, is his outfit never seems to have much damage to it. So I don't know if the claws just go through and then come back out again, or whether he rips his sides off there. But either way, that's got to hurt. Anyway, so then here's Deadpool blasting Logan in the sides with his guns. He's getting headbutted by Logan. This is Deadpool getting thrown through the wall and against the 21st Century Fox logo. It's funny. Every time they've shown this scene, there's been a different line dubbed over it. So I have no idea what he's actually going to say here in the movie. But he loads up his guns here. Notice the cartridge he throws in the air, gets a new cartridge, loads it up, and then I think he's about to light Wolverine up with those guns, because the next time we see him, notice he's got several gunshot wounds across his pecs. That would really hurt. And you can tell Wolverine's face. He ain't happy, right? He ain't happy at all. So yeah, this is really getting serious. Now the katanas are out, and I think those katanas are indeed going to be soon impaled in Logan, as we will see. Yeah, so pretty vicious fighting going on here. He is not happy at all. So meanwhile, we have the bad guys closing in on them, and we're going to see that this definitely leads right into the aftermath of their fight, and we'll catch that in just a minute here. But notice if we zoom in, you can see all the different vehicles. We're going to get much better views of them, but I wanted you to see these are all the vehicles closing in on them. So first of all, we have the car from Captain America the First Avenger, Red Skull's car, but it's been tricked out with the fire images that Tony Stark put on his vehicle in the first Iron Man. In fact, even the piece here on the front of the car is an Iron Man helmet. So I'm pretty sure that in whatever universe this came from, at whatever timeline, it was Red Skull's car bought by Tony Stark, and then he definitely made it Iron Man-like. Very cool. And then this is important. Notice, I think that is the Golden Gate Bridge from X-Men The Last Stand, but that's important because it's to prove that this scene takes place at the same place Deadpool and Wolverine are fighting. So kind of keep that in mind. Then here's a second vehicle, and definitely the motorcycles are from Captain America the First Avenger. But in my last video, I asked people, whose vehicle do you think this is? Where did this thing come from? And I got a lot of good guesses. One guess from Zenlore is that it's from the Logan movie. The only reason I question that, now that I see the image in front of me, is notice there's a pretty big gap between some of the tires, and there's no gap in this one. So it might not be that. Another guess from Zenlore is the tanks from Age of Ultron. That's certainly a possible guess, very possible. Then LS2093 said maybe it's a vehicle from WandaVision. Ooh, interesting. The tires look a little different, but the basic vehicle shape looks the same. So that's a good guess. But probably my favorite guess was from Sean Davies, who said it's the Taskmaster's vehicle. Okay, now those tires look exactly the same. The vehicle looks a little different, so they changed it, maybe put some windows in, etc. But, oh boy, that's a good guess. So let me know your thoughts. What vehicle is this? I'm going to go with the Taskmaster one. All right, so then the villains close in on them, and there's here again, there's that Golden Gate Bridge. See, I think all of this is happening in the same basic location. We have all kinds of Easter eggs. There's Chitauri. That's the Canadarm. That's really funny. And then as this thing comes out, I can't wait to see what this thing really is. But you can also see a helicarrier there. So very cool. But now, I think that's happening right after this fight. Because, notice, the katanas are now stuck in Wolverine. And in come the villains. So, in fact, you can see the katana sticking out of him here as Sabertooth jumps off this vehicle. And Deadpool's like, oh my gosh, it's Sabertooth. And notice now they're standing in front of, we get a real good view of the cupcake truck from Moon Knight, so very cool. And Sabertooth says, are you ready to die? But Deadpool's like, wait, time out. Second time he calls time out, right? I love that. And he says, you look ridiculous, and pulls the katanas out of him, which he winces each time. Now, this line is interesting. People have waited decades for this fight. It's not going to be easy. I don't think that line makes sense with Sabertooth. So I'm wondering if maybe that's referring to a battle we've all wanted to see, a la Hulk versus Wolverine, but that must be happening somewhere else and not here, because I don't think he fights Hulk here, and you'll see why in a minute. But anyway, he pulls the other katana out and even pulls this little knife out, the baby knife out, and then now explains, shoot the devil, you take him down, side control, full mount, and you ground and pound until he makes no sound. Again, doesn't really sound like he's talking about Sabertooth here. So I really hope we're getting a Hulk versus Wolverine fight. We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, so here now I think Wolverine is really ticked. This is a Empire magazine shot here, but I think he's really ticked, and that's why he's saying here then, shut up, basically. Just leave me alone. Let me go take care of this on my own. And then you can see Sabertooth there. And sure enough, he's ready. He leans down, and Sabertooth roars, And now a nice shot from Entertainment Weekly there. And now they head into each other to fight. It is worth noting someone is captured here. I've heard rumors that that might be the Hulk, Bruce Banner. I don't think so. I think this is a TVA agent, and we're going to see him get munched in a few minutes. But let me know your thoughts on who you think is in there. Now, this fight, I think, ends, and that's when Wolverine says, "Who's next?" I know in the trailer he said, "Who's next?" first, but I think it's afterwards. I think he takes out Sabertooth, and he's like, "Who's next?" So the real question is, why do they eventually get in this ball? Notice they're standing next to the ball, and I'm saying negotiations are going on because ultimately they end up inside the ball. How does that happen, right? And they seem to be tied up by ropes. So were they forced into there? Were they told, "We'll take you to our leader if you get in the ball"? I don't know. I don't know how they end up getting in there or why. But the bottom line is they're definitely in there, and here you can see them really tied up with ropes. So interesting. Can't wait to see why they did that. Why did they agree to get inside this ball? Now, I will also point out over Wolverine's shoulder there is a pyramid. That looks really similar to the pyramids that we saw at the end of Loki Season 2. So again, I think we're going to be revisiting some of the locations that we literally saw in the void in Loki Season 1 and Season 2. But all right, so then they head up towards Giant Man. And so once again, we have the caravan. I'm going to zoom in on them. And this is actually the first time we've seen this vehicle, although we'll get a better shot of it coming up, and I'll talk more about it in just a minute. I also think it's interesting that this vehicle is like carrying the two balls, one that I believe has a TVA agent, and the other you can see the red and the yellow, that's Deadpool and Wolverine. But it looks kind of similar to this vehicle. Is it the same one that they've just, I don't know, tricked out a little differently? Or are we talking two different vehicles here? Maybe one is the Taskmaster's and the other one is the vehicle from WandaVision. Maybe they're both in this. So very interesting. But yeah, if you zoom in even more, you can see the red and the yellow. That is definitely Deadpool and Wolverine tied up inside that ball. All right, so now we get to the villain's lair. And then this is really interesting. The latest trailer actually has CGI'd in this flag. The flag was not in the earlier trailers. So if we zoom in on the flag, you can see it's kind of like an A over something. Well, Ryan Reynolds really helped us out because he posted a better image of this, and it looks like they took the Avengers logo and put their own, villainous A over there. So I think this is the villain's flag for their lair. So pretty cool. All right, so I used to think this was Sabertooth because of the height, but I don't know if Sabertooth makes it through that battle. We'll have to wait and see, but possibly this is Sabertooth. But I definitely think this is Callisto from X-Men Last Stand, Toad then from X-Men, Stone from Elektra. I do think we have Elektra villains in here. Lady Deathstrike from X-Men United, and we're going to get a much better view of her in a minute. Azazel from X-Men First Class, the Russian from The Punisher, that's pretty cool, and then Pyro from X-Men The Last Stand. And he's actually sitting on Red Skull's car, which we saw earlier. And then here's the better view of the Fantastic Car. We still can't entirely see it, but I think it's kind of patterned after the Fantastic Car from the comics, not so much from the movies. But all right, so Giant Man opens up, and so you can see those nasty-looking teeth. Ugh. And out comes Cassandra Nova. So she's been sitting in there chilling. I have no idea when she actually says boys are so silly, but maybe around this time. We'll see. But anyway, this is Cassandra Nova from the comics, who is like the twin of Professor Xavier, born in the womb. And it's a crazy origin. I'd be very interested to see how they handle it here. But most importantly is she's a massive telepath, and we'll see why that's important in a moment. So then she heads down the steps, and this is one of the promo shots. And then this is cool. This is a brand new photo from Entertainment Weekly. And notice you can see Lady Deathstrike's claws very clearly there with Cassandra Nova. So I think she basically has the TVA agent released at this point, and that's why Pyro is saying, I love this part, because what ends up, and that's Pyro from X-Men The Last Stand. And the reason he's saying that is, I believe that Cassandra Nova controls Alioth now and brings him in. Of course, that's the Giant Man body there. Here's a real good shot. This is a brand new shot that they released. And this is the same Alioth from the Loki series, but now that He Who Remains is dead, I think Cassandra has taken over control of Alioth. So this is way back from the first trailer, but this is the TVA agent who is then swept up and taken away by Alioth. So I think that was done to show Deadpool and Wolverine they're serious. That don't mess with these guys because we actually have Goliath under our control, and you're next if you don't work with us. So how do Deadpool and Wolverine escape? Well, it isn't like this shot. I don't think we get to this shot till much later because notice Wolverine has no sleeves. And unless he somehow loses them, they're captured by the TVA, this can't happen yet. Plus, there are a ton more scenes I'm going to get to where he does have sleeves. So I don't think this is how they escape. Instead, I'm wondering if Cassandra says, hey, there's this group of others in the void. I want you to go take care of them for me. And if so, I'll help you even get out of the void. And Deadpool, you can save your universe, etc. So, by the way, and if you don't do it, I'll have Goliath kill you. So I do think that they say something to the effect of, well, we need a vehicle, and you've got all these nice vehicles. So what do? They get this car instead. Cassandra gives them this crappy car. This is a big-time theory on my part. I don't know how they get away from the villains or how they get this car, but I love that idea that basically they're sent off on a mission and they're given this car. That's too funny. So Deadpool, who knows if you live or die. Here they are driving around in that car. Of course, these are the vehicles of Thanos' from Infinity War. In fact, several of them. That's pretty wild. Then there's that picture that we saw at the very beginning on the cake, and he says, I don't know anything about saving worlds, but you do. So somehow, though, he bothers Wolverine enough that the Deadpool says now. This is from the very latest trailer. And Wolverine says now. So what are they talking about? I don't know. Maybe he's saying, leave me alone now. Stop talking now. But ultimately, it leads to a fight is the bottom line. So notice the scratch marks on the chair there. And Wolverine jumps back at him, still has his sleeves on. Notice, so that's really important. And there's that katana injury. So we know this is after the fight with the katanas. And now finally he gets stabbed in the leg. So yeah, pretty wild. So we finally get that injury. Deadpool gets shoved out of the back of the car and twists his arm back in order. Gets thrown out of the top of the car. Yikes. We see Wolverine then getting ready to fight. I don't even know what's going on here. It looks like they need some alone time together, right? But most importantly is when they stop this fight, notice what looks like railroad tracks here. I think then that they end up at this restaurant together, which I know in the void, I'm not saying it's a restaurant with anybody waiting on them. I think this is probably really old food stuck in the restaurant. But I think it's the restaurant because notice there's those tracks that we saw just outside the window. Notice we got the katana marks there, and then I do believe that is the knife mark. And again, he still has his sleeves. So that's why I really think they get away from Cassandra somehow, or they're let out with that car. All right, so a really funny line from the trailer. You mind putting your mask back on? Super hard to eat while I'm wearing it. And Wolverine says, well, it's super hard to eat when you're not because of that nasty face. Then this is interesting. The latest trailer had the line, you were an X-Men, you were the X-Men. So I really think they're trying to work together. He's trying to get him to help. Then he says, want to talk about what's haunting you, or should we wait for a third act flashback? That's what Wolverine says, leave me alone, we'll go with. Anyway, that's where I think this will eventually come in. This will be our third act flashback. Whatever the heck this is with these maybe graves, who knows? And it's a younger Wolverine, obviously, when something bad happened. So I don't know when we'll get this flashback, but I do think that Deadpool joking about a third act flashback will refer to this. All right, so then now something had to happen because he has no sleeves. So I have no clue. Let me know your guesses, right? But somehow he does lose his sleeves, and now he's talking to someone he's calling Kid. So there's a lot of theories. This is not Deadpool, but might be someone else. But I won't go into the theories because there's nothing official. So I'm sticking with the trailers here. Then I love this. They're like staying at an Airbnb, right? Because it looks a lot like the bed the Hulk was in from Thor Ragnarok. So maybe that got pruned to the void. And then Logan, notice no sleeves, and he's drinking and spitting out some, I suspect some pretty hardcore liquor. Then who knows whether this line's really here, but at least in the trailers, he says, let's go. And sure enough, it's time to go. So someone's clearly going to get hurt because these two look very upset. Notice that Deadpool now has golden guns, so he got those from somewhere. And he picks up Dogpool. So now let the theories fly on how many of the Deadpool core we're going to see, right? I mean, we definitely see these shots of Dogpool, and I think this is Lady Deadpool. If you look at her legs, she's got the machine guns, and those are both signs of an appearance by Lady Deadpool, which means we may be getting everything from, Kidpool to Headpool and so forth. So lots of cool stuff potentially coming there. Now, I think they're coming back to fight Cassandra. So I do believe they find a group of at least some other people, one of whom we're going to see pretty clearly. They try to hide them, but we can see them. And they come back to fight Cassandra. So they blow up the hands that were the kind of the doorway to Giant Man. And I think that's important because now they jump out. Notice, Wolverine in particular, no sleeves. He's got all the marks. There's that injury he got in his leg that Deadpool gave him, etc. But I think this is happening when they blow up the Giant Man's hands, because look on the left, particularly as we go through some of these villains and they pan over to more of them, you see the smoke and you see how the hands look kind of damaged. So I'm pretty sure this is when they come back, that all the villains are ready for a fight. And here's another one with a pretty nasty machine gun there. And then we get one of the big appearances, one of the big hints they gave us in the trailer. Yep, Juggernaut. I love that. So probably won't be Vinnie Jones playing him again, but certainly we see Juggernaut. And now I think this is actually some of the boss fight. I know that people have said all the trailer scenes are from the first third of the movie. I don't know. This has got to be the end of the movie because during this fight, lots of carnage going on, right? Wolverine has no sleeves. Notice, you can see him there with no sleeves. And then you can also see someone else has now joined them. This leg, and then this hair, and this armband, I'm certain is Elektra. We also saw Stone from her movie as a villain, so I'm pretty sure they pick up Elektra. Maybe some more folks, who knows, I hope. Lots of cameos, hopefully. But my point is, they did not have Elektra with them the first time that Cassandra brought them in. So I'm pretty sure they leave and come back, and this is part of the final boss fight. So now we see Wolverine, notice, no sleeves, not doing too well against Cassandra. She kicks his butt, it throws him down on the ground. And then now, finally, I do think we get to this scene. Again, he has no sleeves. That's really important as they're jumping out. And it looks like Goliath is coming, so maybe she's brought Goliath back again. Also, notice the Giant Man hands. They look really destroyed. So I do think some of this is in the third act. Still dying to know who has this sling ring. My guess is someone they find in the void along with Elektra has a sling ring, but where on earth they're going is a big mystery. So there you go. I think that is the order of the trailer. Let me know your thoughts. If you think I got anything wrong, either way, we're going to find out in just a few weeks. So, man, I cannot wait. Gonna be good. Gonna be good. So leave all your thoughts. I love to hear them. I respond to all of them. And don't forget, July contest. Be a subscriber, leave a comment, win a book or a steelbook. And, of course, we have that membership option in case you're interested in that. And then I always love to mention the Discord. Here we are doing X Monday rewatches. And then we have Multiverse and Mutant rewatches on Wednesdays. Here's some more of those. And WandaVision and Foxverse rewatches on Fridays. All of this to get ready for Deadpool and Wolverine. And then also, we mostly talk about Star Wars, DC, and Marvel, but we have an other media forum, and you can talk about pretty much anything you want. Over 1,400 members across the globe, conversations 24/7, and we would like you to join us. I will leave a pinned comment with an invite to the Discord, and so you can be part of the conversation. Also, if you don't mind, like this video, subscribe if you haven't already. You can check out more content, and we'll all continue to enjoy the ever-growing, ever-changing Marvel Cinematic Universe.